Friday night, sponsored by Erdinger. We're back in Tempest. Nice one to them for looking out after us. A nice one to Pete, Kev and Cam for coming to have a chat to me today. And what I was talk about was, in this international break, to talk a little bit about Michael Edwards and coming in and what's sort of next for him, really. We know the sporting director he wants. He might have even hide him by now, to be honest with you. We're recording this a little bit ahead of time. But we know there's a new manager search on. But the thing for me, Kev, is that you might have a manager, if it is Xabi Alonso or if it is someone in employment who maybe, can't effectively start till June. You can have little conversations with him, but we need to get going on next season now. Like, that's what the best clubs do, don't they? They're working like sometimes a year in advance, really. So it wouldn't surprise you if, I mean, Jurgen Klopp sort of give the game away a little bit, didn't he? In the press conference, he was like, "Oh yeah, Michael Edwards has been on," and we've had some conversations. He was like, "Oh, he was asking me about players," and like basically, who's
hot and who's not in a style of just 17.
Yeah, exactly. And those conversations will be going on already, and we can't. Although whoever the new manager is can be part of those, you can't wait till all that's sorted.
Well, I think that's why they want the hierarchy of the club to be the way it is, so that they can have those conversations almost regardless of who the manager is. And obviously, you've got to have some input. But I think you say about how far in advance they're having the conversations. The moment Klopp decided he was going was a conversation in October or November, he said, wasn't it, about next season. So they're going on that far in advance that we can't just like wait to announce, as you say, if it is Xabi Alonso. Probably going to go all the way to May for the season to finish in the Europa League final or whatever.
And then he comes over in June the 1st, you're like, "Hi, Xabi, you want to buy?" Exactly. And he's like, "I haven't even looked at the squad."
But that's it. But I think you're looking at our squad now, and I'm always one that thinks you could add one more. You can always add one more, because it doesn't matter who gets pushed out, because the one who gets pushed out will be the weakest player. And if you've improved, I'm not bothered who it is that gets going. But at the moment, you look at what we've got, and it's a bit of an embarrassment of riches, really. And listen, I never thought I'd be saying that at the end of last season, when you're watching Fabinho and Henderson like trudging around the pitch, and it was all a bit joyless. You look at us now, and there's a lot there. There's a couple of areas where I think personally we could improve. I think there's an upgrade to be had on Diaz. I think he's great at carrying the ball, but he's just not clinical enough for me. I think if you could get like another Sadio Mane, which obviously, listen, if there's another Sadio Mane available, there's people after him already. Yeah. But I think there is a few areas where Klopp would go, if I was here, this is what I'd be looking at. And Michael Edwards, listen, he'd be a fool not to tap into Jurgen Klopp's massive knowledge, wouldn't he? So as far as I'm concerned, get as much out of Jurgen as you can, and keep working, Mikey, lad.
Well, that's what they're doing. The forwards is an interesting one for me, Peter. I was definitely going to talk about that, because there's 5 very different forwards, and that's one for me where the new manager might come in and just go like, he's not for me. And I don't even necessarily know who that one would be, but obviously even Darwin Núñez divides opinion, and our fan base probably does with managers as well. There's probably some going, give me something like him, but there might be others going like, he's too erratic for what I need him to do. Gakpo is another one who some managers probably love, and others go, he's not doing what I want. Diaz are sort of similar, really. So it is interesting for those forwards moving forward in the summer, and I expect them all to be at the club next summer, with the exception maybe of Salah, but we'll come on to that. But it wouldn't surprise you maybe in the future if whoever the manager coming in just decides, actually, I'm a bit more specific about what I want from a forward, and one of these players doesn't quite fit.
Absolutely. I think we have an idea of what a Jurgen Klopp side looks like, isn't it? So I think over the whole course of his reign, we've not really played with a proper number 9, have we? I know we did with Dortmund, with Lewandowski. But Firmino's always come back into midfield. Gakpo does that, but a bit too much, doesn't he? Yeah. He settles into the midfield. But the thing is, what I've worked out is we don't really know anything now, because when the new manager comes in, he could just rip the whole. We don't want him to rip the whole thing up, but there will be certain elements of the side which won't be just for him. Yeah. For me personally, I think people will look at Gakpo and they'll say, he's the obvious one, but it could be Darwin Núñez, because I think his game intelligence is less than the other 4 personally. Just the fact that, and I know you might think it's about him being offside all the time and stuff, but the fact that he can't be onside and realise when the midfielder passed the ball to him, I just think Spanish managers love the fact that they love control. Yeah. And he can be a bit erratic at times. That's not for me to say I want him to go. I'm just saying that he could be the casualty. But The interesting thing that you've just said then, he's asking Jurgen Klopp. Of course you're asking Jurgen Klopp, but it also indicates the fact that he hasn't really asked Xabi Alonso yet, and the fact that Liverpool are not speaking to Xabi Alonso. For me, they should be talking and getting that new manager in place.
I think they
will.
It's got to be.
I think they will come, but it's how much he can be sure at that point. So if you're say they want Xabi and they decide it is Xabi Alonso, and Xabi goes, yeah, sound, I'll be your new guy, but I'm so focused on winning this league for Leverkusen. And you can ask me what I think of Liverpool players, but to be honest, it's on Match of the Day that I've got on my dodgy box. So like, do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, for him, if he starts talking to us and then their results start dwindling and then he ends up winning the league on the last day, he'll be thinking, yeah, like, you know, I've done the disservice to Leverkusen there. So it's a tough one, but when you're saying then, like, it's Edwards speaking to Klopp, there's going to be someone there. There's, you know what I mean? Obviously, they're not releasing it, but that's why it's just all so tricky and mad. That's why it makes this whole thing in Dublin even madder, that there's a chance we could play down in the fan. That could be like our passing of the guard sort of thing, isn't it?
We'll just take them home.
I think that's why it's going to make it so mad. It's going to be such a weird summer, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be players getting the bullet. I think some of the conversations are going to be like, look, your Van Dijks, your Alisson, your Salahs are all going to be a year older next year. We need to start looking at and obviously there's all the kids coming through now, but they're going to be the type of conversations as well, not just the ones of saying who are we getting rid of.
Yeah, we'll talk about new contracts in a minute, but here's a little bit from Erdinger, and then we'll come back and talk about some of these new deals that need sorting.
And Erdinger, please.
Stop! Don't forget the best bit.
Welcome back. These contracts then, Cam, I think that is something that they would put on the sporting director first and foremost. We've seen that in the past now. You know, Michael Edwards has got a promotion effectively, so he's arguably even more powerful on stuff like this. But even in the past, Jurgen's been quite open and said like he'd like players to maybe stayed on, signed on, but the decision's been made above him really, that once you get to a certain age, but also when they've looked at your numbers and you can see you're sort of dwindling, you know, you're not going to be offered maybe what you sort of accept. And we are in this interesting situation with Mo Salah, with Virgil van Dijk, and Trent, who's not an old player by any stretch of the imagination, but also all these players have got 12 months left on the deal. So as well as assessing, you know, what's going on with certain players you might chip out, decisions need to be made on them, and you'd love them sooner rather than later.
Yeah, because the new managers want to come in with all these players. The first thing is it's going to be Salah, isn't it? Whoever the new manager is going to be saying what's going on with him. Yeah. He's obviously still the main man. And yeah, because you just don't get to the situation like we have been the last few years where we need to sort out all these players' contracts in an aging team, and it's like you want to hold on to him, but then you don't, because then ultimately that's why we've ended up in the Europa League.
You're right, but I feel like everyone's missing the trick here with Trent, because I feel like he is a world star, and I think we look at Bellingham going to Real Madrid and stuff. I think he worried me when I seen him doing the Milan catwalk. I just thought, he's made for Real Madrid here.
He is, but like it's a bit like Stevie G back in the day though. Like Gerrard was made for Barca, and he's ours.
I'd rather see him.
We can't just be given. Because he's from West Ham. He's just going to sign for us.
Yeah. It's a bit of a negotiation tactic though, isn't it? The player ideally would like to get to 12 months left, because then the club have to say, he can say, well, as a transfer value, I'd be able to command this. I want part of that in my wages, because you're going to effectively hold that value in my contract. So, listen, I'm not worried about Trent.
I'm more worried about Trent in the sense of where's he playing. So, if you haven't got the new manager in place, you're not speaking to where's he playing. Because if he sees himself as a midfielder, he doesn't want to be a right back anymore. He's got 12 months left on his deal. I think we all sit here and think they're going to play for Liverpool forever. I'm not so sure that everyone is just.
This is not very Friday, this week.
It's not Friday. It's being realistic, isn't it? The whole agenda of the show is, what do we want Michael Edwards to do? I want him to make sure that there's a philosophy in place, that we play attacking football and we don't go back to any roots of Gerard Houllier or Rafa Benitez. Same when Guardiola left Barcelona, the success continued because they kept employing a manager that played this similar style of football. Yeah. So first of all, you want that, because we're taking it for granted that we are going to play attacking football. But we need to make sure that that's the manager profile. You bring Alonso in, it's 3 months until, June the 1st, less than 3 months. If I'm leaving my job now, I know where my next job is.
Yeah.
So we can say all we want about him being focused on Leverkusen. He's a guy who'll be working 14 hours a day. I'm sure he can fit in a few phone calls to say this player, that player, or this player wouldn't fit into my side. I don't think it's as big as what we're saying. I don't think it's as easy as what I'm saying, but I don't think it's as big as that. I just think, what type of football are we going to play? We all know what we want to play, but what manager do we want? Get it sorted. Not publicly, but privately. There should be a handshake involved.
I know, I definitely think that is happening, but there'll be a bit of those three players, because it's those three who already voted, isn't it? Trent, Mo and Virgil, and there'll be a bit of those three going, this, especially Mo and Virgil, they're of a certain age, do you know what I mean? They're both in unbelievable form. They can't really afford to be part of a rebuild. They need this to be an immediate kick on. So if they get the manager that they want, and I think there'll probably be questions asked in the changing rooms, like maybe not like who would you like to be your manager, but sort of what's your reckon on him, and just getting that sort of feel for what they're thinking. Because if it is someone that they don't fancy, well then you're up on the chances of them leaving. But I don't. The Salah thing is, it's probably everyone's thinking Saudi, aren't they? But I just don't see him going there at all. He's just... I think
it's less likely than it was last summer.
He's so driven to break records at Liverpool as well, and be in the top league with the top clubs, isn't he? But I think when you talk about as well what managers coming in, I think it's, for me, Xabi Alonso, forget about anything of his style and what he's doing at Leverkusen. He's a man with stature, isn't he? The fact that he's played for Liverpool, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, won European Cups, won leagues. Those players that are in this fantastic squad now will respect him. I think some of the other candidates, they might be a bit more iffy about, so I feel like he would just command that respect straight away. He's got that personality, he'll come in and he'll boss it. So I think you've got to make sure that is the appointment, because I don't see a number 2 on the list. That I just don't really see it.
The Mo Salah one, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you might look at it and think, oh well, Michael Edwards, he was against some of these contracts for older players and stuff like that. Mo Salah is getting on. He's probably going to be looking at that and thinking like, nah, let's cut our losses, get 100 mil for him, whatever it is, and reinvest it. But I don't think it's that cut and dried in terms of, like, I don't think they go, he's 31, so we can't give him a deal. I think they'll be looking at his numbers, they'll be looking at his fitness, they'll be looking at everything around him, up to and including like what he brings to his football club off the pitch as well as on it, and analysing that. And so I think because like he is a special case, because he's a special player and a special person, like I don't think it necessarily feels like the case to me that like, oh, because of this, because they've got these, it's not hard and fast rules, and it's certainly not for Mo.
No, yeah, it's different with him. He's not like any other. When you say 31, it's like, it's not even old, is it? But in football terms, it is. It's just like the players you were talking about in question when you say about the older players, and I think the ones Klopp was saying about he wanted to give extra time to was like your Hendersons and your Milners, all brilliant servants, by the way. But Mo Salah is still like, it's Mo Salah.
Jordan Henderson wasn't the best midfielder in the world, was he?
He's just,
whereas Mo is the best striker in the world.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you can't see him tiring down anytime soon. I think if Edwards was to come in and, like you're saying, get the money for him and then do that, it's like, it's an almighty statement, like, isn't it? If he comes in and just gets rid of him, I don't think he's gonna.
It's proper balls to the wall for your first move.
But that's it. He's got to have a first move though, hasn't he? When he comes in, there's going to be a first sort of thing he does.
I'd like him to just buy someone, boss. Just do that.
Transfers. I think with Salah though, he's adapted his game as well. So he's not this like fast right winger that we signed. He's adapted his game. He's that playmaker now. We seen him last Sunday, didn't he? And he was on for like 2 minutes. That pass, defence, splitting ball, but it's become trademark Salah. So we're talking about that finish. That pass has now become that. So I think the fact that he's adapting his game will be his longevity.
Do you reckon the Salah thing? I don't think is in Liverpool's hands. I just don't see a world where Liverpool like, yeah, we're happy to get you going now for whatever the fee is. I don't see a world where Liverpool say yes. I see a world where if it does happen, I think it'd be Mo Salah going, this is my time and I'm going to go to do this now. And he got the club over a barrel because of the length of his contract, but also he can take, listen, I've served you unbelievably well. Yeah. And you've got to sort of let me go with good grace. And with Liverpool, we sort of got to keep that up a little bit as well, because a little bit of our philosophy is always going to be buy low, sell high, because that's the way that FSG have done it. And listen, it's not always been my favourite way to do it, but at the moment it seems to be working. So you wouldn't like to see Liverpool sort of try and force them into it, in case the next person goes, well, I'm not going there, because when I do get my opportunity to do what I want to do, I'm not going to do that. That's less likely nowadays because we are so good, but I think that definitely is still a concern for Liverpool.
No, I think that is fair, Cam, and I think they will be sort of looking at everything around it. But I think my point was, it's not just sort of on age; it's what they're producing, and he is still producing. And whoever's crunching the numbers on this, will see not just for him but for Virgil as well. Like, he's been phenomenal this year, and you're looking at him thinking like, if he didn't sign a new deal, like, rival fans would be doing cartwheels down the street, wouldn't he? Because he's been the best defender in the country this year by a mile.
Well, that's the thing, like, it's still, 12 months left and all that, but if a few of them don't sign, it starts getting panic stations and it's like, what are we going to do? We've just settled them all down now, because Van Dijk's just gone up another level. Didn't even think it was possible, to be honest.
Yeah.
But he's just, the last few weeks, he's been ridiculous, but yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I hope they just all get boxed off. After that final, and the FA Cup finals, last game of the season is hopefully sign them on the pitch, and then the Jürgen extension as well won't go.
You to me are everything playing on as Jürgen sort of signs up. So there you are, Michael Edwards, if you're watching. I know you're a big fan of the Anfield Wrap. 3 new contracts, one for the manager as well. Kev wants you to sign a belt. Easy, up the Reds.